Hi baddies, my name is Carice Monet and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe this video. Today we're going to be going over my birth story. I know so many of you guys have been waiting to hear what actually happened because we all know I had some very big plans for this occasion. So let's get into it. Alright, so for those of you guys that were following my journey on my Instagram, crbeauty_, I was going over everything on my business Instagram. I had planned to give birth at the Denver Birthing Center. I was planning to do it all natural, you know, in a bathtub, essential oils, you know, some snacks. So I started the journey with the birthing center. So we did meet. Oh, but the baby. What's wrong with the man? Okay, so we had to do classes, me and his dad. We did, how many classes did we do? Hold on. Okay, so we did a series of classes. It was a lot of classes. They were all varying, like 2 to 3 hours. I really enjoyed the education we got in those classes. And then, I can't tell if he's gassy and still sleeping or if he's waking up. Oh, he's waking up and demanding the boob. So, we did a series of classes. And again, I was just doing everything to prepare for a natural birth. They were showing us a bunch of like natural birth videos. And yeah, I was getting hype. I remember just, you know, a bunch of moms on my Instagram were telling me, you know, just that the pain was just otherworldly. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be fine. You know, I have tattoos. Like, I'm going to do all these little techniques that they taught us at the birthing center. Like, I was really feeling excited and game for just a fully natural birth. So, and at the birthing center, basically, once you're there, your only option for any type of pain management other than just deep breathing is, they had like laughing gas that you could use. So I was like, okay, that's what I'll use if I need it. So September, oh my gosh. September, what was it? 19th at 7 a.m. my water broke. This was 3 weeks before my due date, so it was definitely very unexpected. We didn't have anything ready for the baby to come yet, but you know, I called his dad, let him know, called my mom. She came over immediately. I was going to get my hair braided literally on the 24th of that month, and my hair was just out, and I was like, absolutely not. So I called up my girl Tasia. She's the owner of Leah Braids. I was like, girl, I know we can't do like a full goddess braid moment right now, but can I just come over and can you just put my hair in like 2 cornrows? So I went over to her house with my mom. She did that, and I'm expecting to go into labor any minute now. I'm thinking like my water just broke. When is it going to happen? So I call the birthing center and they're like, you know, are you experiencing any contractions? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like, no, I haven't really felt much of anything other than my water breaking. So they're like, all right, well, come in at 11 a.m. if nothing else happens, and we'll just check and confirm that your water did in fact break. So we go at 11, I'm with his dad, and they check, and they're like, okay, this is amniotic fluid. You're not, like, in labor yet, though, so they're like, we just don't want you to go over 24 hours, because then you increase the risk of infection, and just, we don't want that. So they were like, you know, go home, relax, try to get labor to start. So they told me some natural things, like some circuit, I can't remember what it was called, but she also was like, but you can also just take castor oil. She was like, if you drink some castor oil, it will get your labor started within an hour. So I'm always like a go hard or go home type of person. Like, you know, instead of drinks, I take shots, you know, that type of person. So I was like, I'm not going to sit around and do this circuit over and over again. I'm going to just take this castor oil if I have to. So I went back home. Finally, it's like 6 p.m. I went on live and I was like, okay, guys, my labor hasn't started. The midwives from the birthing center that I met with in the morning, you know, one of them called me and she's like, do you want to just go ahead and take that castor oil since you haven't started contracting or anything? And I was like, yeah. So I took it. I think it was 4 ounces that I needed to drink. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. 2 or 4 ounces that I had to drink. So I Yeah, I drank the castor oil, and it really didn't, I thought it was going to taste awful, but it tasted like nothing. It was just really thick. So after that, I'm waiting around. My mom made me some food. I ate like salmon and some pasta. And then 2 hours later, wait, no. Well, I think I did this like at 5, because then 2 hours later, by like 7 p.m., I'm pretty sure 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. By 7 p.m., I started having contractions. So already when I started feeling then, I was like, oh my gosh, I think we need to go to the birthing center. Like oh no. Like it's happening. Sorry, I had to fix my light. It's happening. So I call the birthing center. And I'm like, I'm having contractions. I think I'm in active labor. I want to come. Because the whole thing at the birthing center, they're like, we don't want you here unless you're in active labor. And so, yeah, but what I was feeling already was like spicy enough. I was like, oh, hell no, this is active labor. The lady pissed me off because on the phone, I was, when I said that, she's like, I can just tell by talking to you, you're not in active labor. She's like, sometimes when you take castor oil, it can really speed things along and then it slows down. So she's like, wait another hour and then call back. So I was pissed. Even my mom was like, girl, if looks could kill the way you were looking, because I was like, how are you going to tell me I'm not in active labor? But I wasn't. An hour passes. At this point, I'm literally shitting my life away on the toilet. I'm puking and having contractions at the same time. So my mom like drew like a warm bath for me, and that was the most comfortable I was when I was having these contractions. At this point, I was just making like cow noises, like like that's all I could do. I couldn't really talk. So his dad was rushing to my house, and, I called the lady, and now she's like, okay, you can come on in. So at this point, I'm in so much pain. It's the most unbelievable thing ever. Like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. But I was feeling hopeful because I remember from all the labor videos that we watch, and mind you, I have a high pain tolerance. So I was feeling like from all the labor videos, they're basically saying like, oh, once you get to the point where you're like, help me, or you just really don't think you can do it, it's because you're so close, your baby's about to come. So in my little mind, I'm like, my baby must be like right here, because I was already like, oh my God, like looking at his dad, like, oh my God, I can't do this. So we get to the birthing center, and we have to park. A security guard meets me with a wheelchair, wheels me into the building. And they check me, and I'm like, I know I gotta be so dilated. I'm in so much pain. They check me, and I'm only 2 centimeters dilated. So at this point, I literally want to cry. I'm like, this makes no sense. Like how I could be in this much pain and I'm only 2 centimeters. And I remember, because like I said, the birthing center, they have this whole thing where they want you to be in active labor, aka 6 centimeters dilated, before you're there. And I really don't like the fact that they, seeing how much pain I was in, didn't offer to let me just stay there. But I feel like if you hear this whole video, everything happens for a reason, because yeah. But they were telling me, so we would recommend you go home and then come back later when you're closer to 6 centimeters. And I'm like, first of all, how am I even going to know when I'm at 6 centimeters? I'm in like unbearable pain already. So I remember at this point, I'm like starting to cry, and they're like, do you want us to give you guys a moment to decide? Because my whole thing was I didn't want to get an epidural. I really did not want to do that. I wanted to do it natural. So at this point, I'm feeling defeated. I'm like, I know I cannot manage this pain if it gets like exponentially worse. And I'm like, if I'm only at 2 centimeters, it's gonna get exponentially worse. So, I remember just to my baby dad just be like, I just feel so weak. Like I wanted to, be strong and not get an epidural, but I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Like, blah, 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 blah. So St. Joseph's, fortunately, was right across the street, and he's like, you're not weak. Like if you, just listen to your body, like, you know what I mean? He was being really supportive. So I was like, okay, like, I have to go get the epidural. Like, I literally can't do this. And for hours more, potentially, like, no. So, we pack up everything. We don't pack, like, we go back into his car. My mom is in the car too. We drive across the street to St. Joe's, and like, he's like rushing. Cause like I said, guys, at this point, like, I can't talk. I feel like I'm getting like ripped open. It was crazy. So He's like rushing to go get a wheelchair. Like, we're walking in. I was in so much pain when this like next contraction came. We walked in. I like dropped onto the floor in the middle of the hospital. Like, people are around, like, no fucks given. And I was dropping onto all fours, and I was like trying to be like, like doing that, you know? And so the wheelchair lady comes, she's like, girl, get in the wheelchair. And I was like, okay. So I get in the wheelchair, and like, I'm just like, oh my, like, I'm not even saying, oh my God. I'm just like, you know, and my contractions are coming so fucking fast. Like I said, the pain was insane. So I get to the unit I'm supposed to be in, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take your vitals. We're gonna see where the anesthesiologist is and if they can get you this epidural. And they were saying they're gonna see if the anesthesiologist would agree to give me the epidural. But before they did something, I don't remember what it was, but he did. So within like the next hour, I got the epidural. But in the meantime, I just remember like every time a contraction came, and they're coming so fast, so I'd have to like sit up, get into all fours on the bed, make my noises till it passed. And yeah, I just remember like just saying the F-bomb a lot. And I remember the little midwife that went over with me, not in a mean way, but I feel like she found it like humorous, like not how much pain I was in, but like my reaction to it. But yeah, but they were giving me compliments of like, yeah, you're doing this very controlled. But to me, it didn't feel like I was controlled, because my mom was like, yeah, you did it so cute. You're just like, you know, but I didn't feel like it was controlled. I feel like in my mind, like I was losing my fucking shit. But I finally get the epidural, so that brings some relief. No, that brought a lot of relief at first. And so, you know, I'm kind of coasting now. And then finally, a nurse, one of the midwives that was at the St. Joe's location, I think it was her first, or my nurse, Jenny. I loved her. Jenny, if you ever see this video, she's at St. Joseph's. She was amazing. I'll remember her forever. Anyway, one of them came and told me that things were not looking the way they were supposed to, that my baby's heart rate was dropping every single time I was having a contraction. So they're like, we're going to keep our eyes on this, but this really isn't good. And like, if this doesn't get better, worst case scenario, we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't want an epidural. I definitely didn't want a C-section. And this was around the time when that article came out on Instagram. I know we all saw, where it's like, studies show that Black women in America get like more unnecessary C-sections than any other group of people, you know? So I'm like, oh, hell no, you know? So they tell me that, and I'm just like, you know, hoping for the best. But yeah, now my contractions are starting to come in stronger and stronger, to where like I'm feeling them despite my epidural. Like, so I know my baby dad, he like kept pressing the little epidural button to give me more medicine. It wasn't doing anything. And I remember, then I think that's when they had the doctor come in, and she's like, this really isn't looking good. We're probably gonna have to give you a C-section. And I remember telling one of the midwives, I was like, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. And they're like, really? Because I was only there for a couple hours now. And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. They're like, where? I was like, and like, it's in my butt. And so they're like, okay, like, so they checked. I was already 4 centimeters dilated. So I went from 2 centimeters to 4 in like those 2 hours. So like, okay, you're moving, like that's really fast. So fast forward, my contractions just kept coming really, really quick. And then they come in, and now like everyone's freaking out. Like nurses are running in there. Like everyone just, it got scary because all these different nurses were watching. The doctor was in there trying to have me sign to go back to do a C-section. They're like, you don't have to do this yet, but we just want this paperwork. My baby's all farting. Baby. They're like, in case we have to take you back in an emergency. And I was like, well, I just feel like a signature is really quick. So if you need to take me back for an emergency C-section, I can do a signature quick. Like I literally said, amidst like my contractions, because mind you, at this point I was feeling them again. I was like, I'm just going to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to sign that right now, you know, which I'm glad I didn't. Because in my head, I just felt like if that's already signed, I feel like you'll be even more prone to take me back, you know? So I was like, and I wanted them to do everything before having to do that. So at this point, baby's heart rate is dropping, and they come in and like, your contractions are just getting so fast. It's too much for your baby. So they came in like, we're going to have to give you a shot in your leg to stop the contractions. And then they hooked up like, a thing that they hook up to the baby's head to track, like to monitor him even closer. So they're doing all these things, putting cords up my coochie, just all this stuff. And so they give me the shot that's supposed to stop my contractions because they're coming too fast. And my body just kept going. Like, I was still getting contractions, but they slowed down just enough that it worked for the time being. My baby's heart rate went back to a good level. So now I was literally holding my mom's hand and then my baby dad's hand on the other side and just going with the wave of my contractions. Like, I'm in the amount of pain again where I'm like, you know what I mean? Regardless of the epidural I got, regardless of how many times that they pressed the button. But now we're like, okay, baby's good. I don't have to go back for a C-section, so I'm just riding the wave. So that goes for, a couple hours. And I know they came and checked me again at maybe an hour later. And now I'm at 6 centimeters dilated. But then it happens again. The baby's heart rate started to go down and they're like, C-section's on the table again. So then the doctor comes in and is like, we're literally about to wheel me back to a C-section for probably the third time. And she checks and I'm 9.5 centimeters dilated. And she's like, all right, we can start pushing. So they're like, you need to get this baby out right away though. So at this point, I'm so exhausted. These contractions have been beating my ass. And so I start pushing. I'm pushing with all my might. Everyone's like, trying to cheer me on. And I know finally I got the head to crown. And I didn't mention, the anesthesiologist came back and gave me something else that they added to my epidural that gave it an extra boost that was more than those buttons you can press. So that helped. I was still feeling the contractions, but it helped. Which I'm grateful that I got that right in time before I had to push this baby out, because I had to push this baby out with so much force that it tore me. But anyway, so I'm pushing, and the doctor's like, all right, if you can't get this baby out ASAP, she's like, the heart rate's dropping, we're risking brain damage. She was like, I'm gonna have to use my forceps. Then it went from I'm gonna have to use my forceps to Carice, I'm thinking about giving you an episiotomy. And I knew that was when they cut your vagina open. So I was like, oh hell no. And I remember Jenny, the nurse that I love so much, like I said, I'll always remember her. I remember just looking her in her eyes and I feel like we connected or communicated telepathically, because I felt like she was like, no, you don't want to do that. You got this. And I feel like that I just got so much motivation. I pushed, and I just felt like a gush of fluid and everyone was like, you did it. And I got the baby out. Yeah, I just remember all the nurses and the doctor just being so impressed. They're like, the doctor was like, you were built for this. She was like, not many women could have done that, how you did. I don't know. Like I said, this was my first go around, but I just know all these nurses were coming back in and congratulating me. The ones that rushed in when the heart rate and all that crazy stuff was happening, and they gave me a shot in the leg. Everyone was impressed that I didn't have to go back to a C-section. I was able to get the baby out. So yeah, I got the baby out, and the baby, when he came out, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, not once, but twice. And they're like, it was wrapped really tight, but they unwrapped him, put baby on my chest, and he started crying immediately. He wasn't discolored or anything. So yeah, my baby was safe. And it's just in hindsight, I'm grateful that I didn't try to continue to stay strong and I listened to my body, even though it wasn't in alignment with my birth plan, because what was going on with my body was abnormal and it wouldn't have been right. It wouldn't have been good for me to try to just thug that out and then be at the birth center. I don't think I could have even mentally survived that pain and how intense my contractions and stuff were. Trying to thug it out anyway, but I'm just glad that I listened to my body despite what I planned for myself and the idea I had of it, because I think just being at the hospital and having just that extra care was really important for the safety of myself and my baby. So I wouldn't have changed anything for the world. I feel like I think I kind of delayed even making this video because I did still feel ashamed that I wasn't able to go forward with my birthing plan and doing it completely natural. I remember I was just talking oh yeah, horses do it, animals do it every day, women are doing it all over the world every day, I can do it natural too. And I didn't, and that, yeah, it made me feel weak. And I just remember too, just hearing that I was 2 centimeters. That still boggles my mind because I'm like, I know my pain tolerance is high. You know what I mean? Just all those thoughts. But once I got to the hospital and all that stuff was going on with my body, it makes more sense now why I was in so much pain. So yeah, in hindsight, guys, that's my birth story. My baby was born September 19th, and he was 5 pounds, 11 ounces, healthy little baby. I was also happy because at the birth center, after you give birth, they only let you stay for 4 to 6 hours and then you have to leave. And that was another reason why they had you do so many courses and stuff to like prepare you to go home. But I was really also grateful that I went to St. Joe's because one, all the treatment I got from the nurses, doctors, everything was amazing. I didn't feel, disregarded in any way. I feel like they all listened to everything I said. Like even when, I was feeling that pressure and that was sooner than they expected, they still checked. They weren't like, oh, there's no way anything's happening yet. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that, but also because I'm grateful that I had the option to stay overnight and have the help of the nurses and everything. I can't imagine coming home just like me and my baby's father and my mom. All of us pretty much new to this. This is his first kid too. My mom hasn't had a kid in, almost 30 years. So it just would have been a lot harder on us to just have to come home so soon. So we were all grateful that everything turned out the way it did. It's just another testament to God's plan. I remember, my pregnancy was just so hard on me. That entire journey really just dragged me through the mud, like mentally, spiritually, physically. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, I shared most of that journey with you guys. And I remember I kept saying that I felt like my faith in God got kind of like messed up because I felt kind of like God left me hanging, honestly, just with how hard things were going. It might be backwards, but I remember when I like made the decision to keep my baby, I felt like I was, doing what God had told me to do. I really felt like I heard clearly when I got pregnant that, because this wasn't planned, I used to always swear I'm not going to be a baby mama. Like if I ever get pregnant and there's not a ring on my finger, I'm aborting it. I used to always swear that, but I'd never been pregnant before. And so when this did happen, I remember just being like, what the fuck? But immediately it felt like this was my baby. And I feel like I also was like, God literally spoke in my ear and was just like, it's not up to you whether or not this baby's gonna have a chance to live. So I was trying to be obedient to God and just, listen to what my like spirit was telling me and, go forward with the challenge of having this baby despite it not being in my plans at all whatsoever. So when my pregnancy journey got so hard for me and stayed so hard, I really kind of felt neglected by God because I was like, God, I did what you told me to do. Why are you not making this easier on me, And I'm getting emotional now thinking about it, but I know with just how everything went with the birth of my baby, it like just restored all of my faith. And it was like I wanted to say sorry to God for, thinking you abandoned me, because it made me just realize that, he was there for me more than I gave him credit for, and just how everything worked out in the end. And I actually got my beautiful baby boy. Like it all made sense. And I was like, God never left me. So that's also just something I want to remember for, any chapter I get to in my life where things get so hard and I feel that feeling of like, why is this happening to me, God? And just to remember that, he's always there. And he might not, he's not going to be early. He's not going to be late. He's going to be right on time. So I just want to always remember that for any future situations where things get that, dark essentially for me. So yeah, like I said, I'm grateful. Everything fell into place beautifully, perfectly. My mom was an amazing support system for me. My baby's father did so amazing supporting me, through the labor and delivery. And yeah, my baby is perfect. His name is Abdu Adim Lee Chasanti. And yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'm currently on maternity leave and I'm gonna be going back the first week of December. That's another thing that worked out for me. While I was pregnant, I was really getting kind of down because I was like, I have my own business. I'm not gonna have a maternity leave. Feel like I'm probably gonna have to be going to work again just a couple weeks after giving birth. And that whole thing was kind of making it also so I wasn't looking forward to having my baby, essentially, because I was like, I'm gonna go from one traumatic, harder than I ever thought experience to the next. But the FAMLI, the like family leave that Colorado passed within the last year, people voted on it. So thank you, Colorado voters. I got maternity leave funded by the state of Colorado despite being a business owner, and that was able to give me enough to really just, cover my rent and my expenses to keep a roof over my head. And keep my business running while I take this time with my baby. So I've been probably in this bed almost every single day, just nursing my baby, pumping, bonding with him, just getting to know him, and him getting to know me. So yeah, it's just been a really good experience. Not to say there hasn't been hard times even on this side of it, but it is just really what I was hoping for, because I remember when I was pregnant, something that I kept saying was, oh, like, I just know once I have my baby, all of this will be worth it. Like, when I was having really bad days, I just kept repeating that to myself. Like, once you have your baby, it's all going to make sense. It's all going to be worth it. And by the end of my pregnancy, because it was just all so hard, I was starting to get scared. I was like, what if even after I have my baby, it doesn't feel worth it? What if even after I have my baby, I feel like I made the wrong decision? But I'm just grateful that, it was what I kept telling myself. Once I had my baby, it's all worth it and it all makes sense. And I just love him so much. I've never thought I could love something so much. Every mom says that, but you really don't know until, you're there. I've also been having so much fun, like pumping and collecting my milk, creating a freezer stash. So yeah, so that's the labor and delivery story, baddies. And thank you guys for always just being a safe space for me to share bits of my life and my journey. I hope that I can always continue to inspire you guys. I really try to be transparent on my page and not only share my wins, but just share just real life things that I go through, because I know that I'm not alone. And you guys always make it known to me that I'm not alone, even in my hard times. So yeah, if you had a crazy birth story or anything that resonated with you that came up in your mind from this video, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' stories and feedback and input. And yeah, I'm excited to get this video posted. Again, please like and subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notifications. This video I'm going to get up super fast because it's just a straight talk through and I'm not going to have to edit it much. So I'm proud of myself for being able to upload this. I have other videos on the way, guys. Just the editing process takes me way longer than it should. Not because when I'm actually focusing on it, it takes a long time, but me to actually work myself up to sit there and edit the entirety of the video is just taking me longer. But I'm working on another video right now. It was when I went to the Future concert in Denver when I was 7 months pregnant. So I recorded my whole process, like getting ready, going to the concert, everything. So I'm currently editing that. But like I said, that one's going to take some time. But if you're here and you watch this, I appreciate you. Again, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And I'll see you guys almost every day on my business Instagram, crbeauty_, and then my personal Instagram is Charis Monet _. That's CharisMonet_. And then the business is COURBEAUTY _. All right, bye baddies. Love you.